Hey guys, welcome back to Beer and Beauty. It's Kasha. So today you could call this a tag video. Yeah, I'm gonna make it into a tag video. But I came up with this idea of going through my makeup collection and deciding what is my most forgotten about makeup. And by most forgotten about makeup, it's the combination of your oldest makeup in your collection and the makeup you've used the least or you haven't used in a really long time. Like something that you probably haven't used for years. So basically everything, I'm doing a full face of my most forgotten about makeup, and basically everything that I'm wearing on my face right now to do this look, I've had for over 2 years and haven't used in over a year. So yeah, I just went through every step in my makeup routine and I looked at it and I was just like, I tried to find all my oldest makeup, and out of the oldest makeup, what is the makeup that I use the least? What's something I haven't picked up in so long? And as you're watching this video, you're gonna see the stuff that kind of inspired me to do this. Mainly the foundation and the eyeshadow palette that I'm wearing, and the lip that I'm wearing actually. And it's really kind of funny that as I went through this video, it kind of turned into this like 60s Twiggy look, because I'm using all this old makeup and I came up with this like 60s vibe mod look. So yeah, every step of my makeup routine fits into this category, except for my Twiggies. The Twiggies, actually, the idea for this look kind of happened randomly, so you'll see the evolution of that in the video. I hope you enjoy watching this, and let's get into it. It's Beer and Beauty after all, so we gotta talk about the beer that we're drinking. I actually just picked this up today. I'm shooting this on the last day of February. It's the middle of the winter. It's super cold, but I'm probably not gonna post this for like 2 weeks. But anyway, I walked down to the store today and I got this tropical IPA to try and cheer up my little winter blues a little bit. This is called DDH Green Island Tropical IPA Special Edition, and the colors are such a beautiful summery vibe over here, and it is very delicious. I love tropical IPAs. Like, this isn't quite as good as the Beer Camp tropical IPA from Sierra Nevada. I think it was the year 2016. But that tropical IPA was like so good. I couldn't stop drinking it. And it sparked a love of tropical IPAs for me. And this one's a really good one. I've been really enjoying drinking this. So cheers to that. It just makes me think of sitting inside of a kayak, listening to music, and enjoying nature. I can't wait to start doing that again. Winter in New England is painful, okay? Anyway, delicious beer. Let's get into the video, shall we? And here we go. Cheers to that. Okay, guys, so here we are and here we go. I got my hair up and I'm ready to start. So the first thing that I have to show you, primer. I just spent a lot of time going through my collection and just kind of identifying all my oldest primers and my least used primers, and I have a couple that I noticed that I had for a while, never really used. I've had this like optical illusion primer from Urban Decay. I have no idea why I haven't really used this. See, there's only a little bit in here that seems to have been used, and I've had this I think since it came out. Like, I got it in Sephora gratis. And then I also have this like little sample of the Tarte Poreless mattifying primer. Not excited to be using this one, but I think this is actually, I've only used this once or twice. I think I might have had it longer than this, maybe around the same amount of time. So I guess if we're really sticking true to this tag, this is probably my most forgotten primer right here, the Tarte Poreless. So let's go ahead and slap that on. It's like a clear kind of silicone-y primer. It reminds me of the Smashbox. It actually feels kind of nice. I've been using the No Problem primer a lot lately just because it's new to me. I got it in my BoxyCharm recently. It feels a little bit like that, but more silicone-y. I kind of enjoy the No Problem primer because it kind of sinks into the skin in a way that a lot of pore filling primers don't really do. Like, it's almost a little bit moisturizing, which I like it about it. This one's a little bit different than that, but it feels nice. Aren't you so happy that you're getting used for the first time? I think I haven't picked this up in like a year. I've had it for about 2 years. So next up is eye primer. So the eye primer that I definitely feel like I haven't used out of anything in my collection is this NARS eye primer. It's called Pro Prime Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. I think I got it in one of those like Sephora 500 perk sample boxes. This might be too old to work actually. It like has like little dried up crusties. This might be too old. Yeah, this feels kind of funny. I don't know if I can use that actually. That's not going to be effective. I think my next most forgotten eye primer is probably my Too Faced glitter primer, but we're not doing a glitter look today, so I think I will use this NYX pigment primer. I use primers almost every day. Like eye primers, I like, some people like to just use concealer to set their eyes, but I like to use an eye primer. I kind of rotate the ones that I have a lot. Like I have a Lorac one that I use all the time. I actually really don't love the MAC Painterly Paint Pot, but I do have one of those and I do use it pretty often. And the Smashbox eye primer is probably the one that I'm loving the most right now. But I guess out of all the ones that I have, this is the one that I'm using the least. This one's the most forgotten. And I've had it for over a year for sure. I don't know if you can see, I can see from this side of the camera that it's like full right up to here. This needs to get used, okay? Squeezing out a little bit onto my finger there. Slap that on. Now that definitely feels like it's priming my eyelids a little bit better than dried up NARS base. Next up is foundation. And I think this might be the product that inspired this idea altogether, because I had this foundation in my box of skincare that I keep under my bed because I keep my skincare under my bed and I pull it out every night, and I have like a just big box of skincare that I kind of rotate, and I always try to decide to use a different skincare item every night, except for, you know, the stuff that I'm like really trying to find how effective it is. Anyway, enough rambling about that. Out of all the foundations in my collection, I think I rotate them pretty well, but this one has been sitting in that skincare box untouched for over a year. I've had this for over 2 years. I think I got it at the end of 2016. Oh, almost 3 years, geez. And I never wear it because it's very matte and it's very full coverage. And it's also Kat Von D, so I'm just like, I don't know, I'm not excited to use Kat Von D products right now. It doesn't mix well with other foundations, and it's also really light, so I can, like, it's the lightest foundation that I have, and I can only wear it in the winter. And luckily it is winter right now, so we're gonna slap this on for the first time in a long time. There's like a little, oh, it's all dried up. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting liquid. That's so gross. Just like a dried up clump at the beginning there. Yeah, seems to match well. At least there's that. Should I use a brush? This is extremely full coverage. I didn't put a ton on. Here's something that gets forgotten about. This like rouge brush from Sephora. This isn't a densely packed enough brush for this job. Let me go get a better brush. Medallion tools to the rescue! And it sets up pretty quickly. So that's kind of a problem actually. Especially with this mattifying primer that I put on underneath it. Pretty kind of crazy that when I was first getting into makeup, I used to always wear really full coverage matte foundation. When I was first getting into makeup is basically when I bought this foundation. And it was like one of 3 foundations I had. And I liked it back then. Especially because I liked Kat Von D back then, in general. I thought she was doing some cool stuff. And now she's not. But this is so crazy. I can't get it to blend out. It matches okay though. I mean, it's a fine match. Makes me pale. Okay, come on, man. Come on, Beauty Blender, help me out here. You definitely don't need to use powder with a foundation like this. There's just so many reasons why I don't use this foundation, it's crazy. Skin looks okay. I mean, I think it will all come together at the end. Oh, did I even say what foundation that was? Well, it was the Kat Von D Lock-It foundation. I think they call it Lock-It because it sets up so fast, and I think it's basically probably waterproof. And that's cool. It's probably an awesome foundation for somebody who is oily, but for a dry girl like me, it's my least favorite foundation, and it doesn't like mix well with other foundations, you know? That's my biggest grievance with it. For a lot of foundations, I can kind of make them work by adding, say a foundation's too matte, too dry. I can just add a more moisturizing foundation to it, like a really moisturizing foundation to it, and it makes it work. Kat Von D Lock-It foundation. From afar, it looks really nice. It makes your look like really kind of flattened, balanced skin tone, lots of coverage. And I feel like the fact that it sets up so fast, sets itself, you don't need to add powder to get it to stay in one place. I think that'd be awesome for, like I said, an oily person. I'm having a hard time getting it to blend out. Let's, I think that's the best we can do, so let's go ahead and move on to concealer. Out of all the concealers in my collection, I was able to identify that I've probably had this little Bobbi Brown sample serum concealer forever. I think I've had it since I started getting into makeup, so that was like 3 or 4 years ago, and I haven't touched. I just recently found it as I was looking for material for this video. It's kind of peachy, so let's pop it on. I remember this being not very full coverage, and it's reading a little bit darker than my actual foundation, so that could be a problem. That may be a reason I haven't picked it up for so long, haven't thought about it. Now this will be, I think because it's a little bit peachy, it's gonna give a nice brightening effect.
It actually looks kind of nice.
That's making me look a little bit more alive. By the way, guys, don't try this at home. I'm not advising you to use like 3-year-old makeup. It is like evening time right now. It's like 7 or 8, I don't even know. So I'm just gonna wash this off after I wear this. I'm not gonna try to leave it on my skin to choke my skin. It actually looks kind of nice. And for a serum concealer, it's not settling into my fine lines very much, so that's pretty cool. I would like to add a little bit of a brightening effect to it, so I have a little bit of material when it comes to the Forgotten About concealer department. I also have these old Makeup Forever concealers, the HD concealers. I bought these for my kit, but I also have the NARS concealers, and I have a couple MAC concealers, and I also have a couple of Tarte Shape Tapes. So these have been very much forgotten about in my kit. Let's pop a little bit of that on to brighten her up. I'm gonna use the shade Y21. This one seems like it's never been used. It's so pale. This might be crazy. I'm making a huge mistake. I'm using the tiniest little dot here, but it's so white. This might be bad.
Oh yeah. It blends.
You know, I remember really liking this concealer because it's like moisturizing, but it does crease. But all that means is that you just kind of have to use a setting powder with it. Wow, this is really gonna be a concealer heavy one too, but I'm also gonna slap on a little bit of this Instant Age Rewind. A nice concealer from the drugstore, but one I haven't really touched in so long. I bought this like 2 years ago. I used to use it all the time when it was new, when I was still getting into makeup. I think I probably bought it because of Tati. This little sponge is gross though. I wish they wouldn't use the sponge. But I want to highlight my forehead a tiny bit. The reason I'm using all these concealers is because I'm trying to, I don't like what the Kat Von D foundation did to my skin, so I'm trying to fix it by using all these different concealers. Try to make my skin look smoother. You know, maybe add a little bit of brightening, a little bit of dewiness to my skin. And with all the dewiness I might have added, I'm about to ruin it by using my most forgotten about powder, which I know for a fact is definitely this. This is like a 100-point perk that I got from Sephora like 2 years ago. There's a trend here. I got it back when I was getting into makeup. This is just the Makeup Forever HD powder. So I'm gonna use that to set my under eyes. And I don't really like this because it was like, it gave a little flashback, but it's very finely milled. It's funny that they call it an HD powder when it has so much flashback, but you know, whatever. Like, see how my whiter makes my under eyes look? It's crazy. But the foundation likes to settle on my forehead a little bit. My skin feels like it's choking. It feels so dry. But you know, it's life. There's a reason certain things don't get picked up. Sometimes they're nice and they just, I don't know, fall to the back of the collection, but sometimes they're just not the best. You probably have other things that are better in your collection and you just would rather pick those up. It looks so dry. I think the next thing I'm gonna do is my eyebrows. And as I was going through my eyebrow product collections, I actually don't have a big eyebrow product collection. I have, I think, basically the full range of the Anastasia products. And then I have a couple of things that I got from a BoxyCharm. Like I got a Cella brow pomade. which I actually use all the time. I got a brow product from Brow Gal, like a little brow mascara, which I use all the time. A while back, if you asked me 2 months ago what my most forgotten about brow product would be, I would say it's my Anastasia Dip Brow, because I never, ever, ever use the Dip Brow to do my brows. But I recently added that to my project pan, and I've been doing my brows with the Dip Brow a lot lately. So I think instead, what I will use in my brows is probably my NYX brow pencil, which is crazy because these aren't that forgotten about. Like, I still use these occasionally. I have had this for well over a year, over 2 years at this point, because I think I got these specifically when I went to school at Cinema Makeup School. I just haven't really used them much since Cinema Makeup School. So let's go ahead and do some brows. The NYX Micro Brow Pencil in the shade Chocolate. Wow, does it always take me that long to do my brows? That's nuts. I think that there's a reason I have been reaching for the brow pencil a lot less lately. It takes 10 times longer than using the Dip Brow, especially because lately I've been liking to do my brows pretty full. I remember for the first year I did makeup, I was so pussyfooting around with my brows. I was like so worried about making them too crazy looking, too thick, and now I'm like all in. I am all in. Give me them thick brows, okay? So I suppose next up will be eyeliner. So when I was thinking about my most forgotten about eyeliners, one thing immediately came to mind. And it was this itty bitty tiny pathetic Tarte Sex Kitten eyeliner that I got in an Ipsy bag. Ipsy always gives you really mini products, but like the amount of product, this is all the product. This is all the way up that this eyeliner goes. So when I saw that, I'm just like, okay, well, I'm not going to reach for it because it's going to be gone in 2 seconds. So I never really picked it up after that. And I also remember it not being that awesome. So let's use her for the second time today, shall we? Okay, we got eyeliner on. I remember last time I used this also started to rub off, of course, of the video because I was shooting a video putting on makeup. It's okay. We're moving on to eyes now, and the reason we're here today rather than later on is because of this eyeshadow palette. I recently listed this on my Poshmark and sold it, so I'm giving it one last little hurrah before I send it off to its new home. This is the Morphe 35S palette. I've had it for about 2 years and I've never used it. I think I picked it up once to reach for one shadow. Other than that, I've only swatched it. So that's why I listed it on my Poshmark and sold it. And I've always had so much guilt around this palette because it's just one palette that's constantly getting forgotten about in my collection. It's an exciting looking palette, you know, there's a reason I picked it. It's got some fun colors in it, but it's also really kind of haphazard. I don't understand the layout of the colors in this palette. There's also 3 gunmetal silver colors in here. There's 3 sparkly blacks in here. It's a weird palette, man. Why is the white in the middle of the palette? But I do have an idea for this look, for what I'm gonna do with this palette today. I think I'm gonna do something a little bit avant-garde, something a little contrasty, you know, using complementary colors. My original plan was to use this shade all over the lid, this in the crease and outer corner, maybe deepened up with this little guy over here. I also thought about doing yellow all over the lid, the teal in the outer corner. I'm gonna go with my original plan. I'm gonna use this guy because this is actually only pretty unique shades in this palette. So I'm gonna use this guy all over the lid. I also have a ColourPop color that's similar to this and similar to this and similar to this, so I don't have to do the Mardi Gras look today. Anyway, let's get into it. I guess I'm gonna take this shade and put it all over my brow bone here. Oh, interesting. It's got little bits of glitter.
It's kind of falling everywhere. That's cool.
I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm going for it. I'm going into this cute little shade. I'm gonna put that all over my lid.
Not as impactful as I hoped and dreamed.
I don't know if I finished my thought earlier. The reason I bought this is because I needed to spend an extra couple bucks to get free shipping when I was making an order on the Morphe website. And I was just looking at the eyeshadow palettes and I'm just like, I guess this one will do. So I added that to my cart and I never really used it. And that's a bad way to shop, guys. That is not a mindful way to shop. It's not the Marie Kondo way to shop, man. Like, you're not like over here like, oh, well, this will bring me joy. It's just like picking something random for the sake of getting that free shipping. Actually, adding a little bit of this shade here because that's not giving me as much pigment as I would like. Oh, Jesus, it's getting all over my face. All right, so now I'm gonna go in with my probably the most exciting shade in this palette is this like teal. I'm using this a little bit of this like light blue shade to kind of try to help blend it out. I'm just using like a cleaner, fluffier brush. It's hard to build up this pigmentation, honestly. I feel like a lot of the colors that I'm laying down are like blending away. I'm liking the colors that I've chosen to pair together, but I'm still concerned it might not work out. But we're gonna push through it. So yeah, that took a lot to blend out for sure. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna use a little bit of this green over here in the outer corner to kind of deepen up the outer corner. I use just a tiny little fluffy brush. I'm kind of interested in this little plummy magenta color over here. Just want to urge that in between the two colors there on my lid. Okay, that's coming together. What should we do in the bottom? Thinking maybe like one of the purple shades. Interested in using this one, but I feel like it's gonna be too purple. It's gonna be too intense. So this one's a little bit more muted of a dark purple. So I'm gonna use that on the lower lash line. Using one of these little lower lash line brushes. Getting a lot of kick up like in my eye. In my eyeball a little bit. Taking like a pencil brush and just blending it all out. I'm a little bit interested in doing an unexpected inner corner highlight. Like a yellow or a peach or something. Maybe this color mixed with this color. I think I'm gonna go for it. It's not very shiny, that's the only problem. Into this color a little bit to try to give it a little more high lighting effect. That's an interesting look. Very different. The shadow's already coming down, like the layer of shimmer that I laid down in the beginning. This look like really needs a liner, so I guess next up we're gonna go into liners. So now when it comes to liners, my most forgotten about liquid liner, or this isn't a liquid liner, this is a gel liner, but this is the Maybelline Eye Studio eyeliner. This used to be my only gel eyeliner that I had on deck, and I bought it because Jaclyn Hill told me to. There's a little bit of a divot in there. I used to use it every day, but I haven't touched it in like a year, and I bet this looks pretty dried up. You know when something dries up, it like detaches itself from the sides of its container? I don't know if you can see that at all in there. I do want to give it a shot with some Duraline, see if I can bring it back to life real quick for the sake of this video. So just adding a little drop of Duraline in there. And I used to, back when I used to use this, I used to always use an angled brush, making it nice and smooth, which is cool. Perhaps I've made the Duraline make it a little too goopy. I probably shouldn't have mixed the Duraline using the brush that I'm putting this on my eye with. Not advised. I think now I need a thinner like eyeliner brush. Are my wings flying away? I don't think it's a perfect match. I think it will do. I do plan on putting lashes on later, so I think that'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with this liner. There's just, I'm more inclined to use my like NYX Epic ink liner or something like that nowadays, like a felt liner, or even my ink blot liner that I'm trying to pan right now. I have an ink blot liner in my project pan. And yeah, I used to use this all the time. There's nothing wrong with it, but the ink blot gel liner is just way smoother. It was a little bit dry. It definitely helped to have the Duraline help me out with this one because it's been a long time since I've touched this little guy. So I guess the next thing I'm gonna do is warm up this bright white face with a little bit of bronzer. And my most forgotten about bronzer is definitely this one. This is the Tarte Park Avenue Princess bronzer. It's just like a mini that I got inside of an Ipsy bag. And I was really excited to get this in an Ipsy bag because I've just never, I wanted to try it. I think the reason that this has gotten forgotten is because I have a number of bronzers that I just are my go-tos, like the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil, the Benefit Hoola bronzer, the Physicians Formula Butter bronzer, the Becca Malibu Soleil bronzer, and then the MAC Give Me Sun. So that's like a lot of bronzers to just kind of rotate through all the time. Put it in a drawer. Like I put the makeup that I don't use in that drawer, and it was just living in that drawer for the longest time, and it never got picked out. So that's why it's in this video today. It's my most forgotten about bronzer in my collection. I think I've had this almost 2 years, and I think I've only used it like a handful of times, like certainly less than 10 times. So let me go ahead and warm up my whole face using this little guy. Oh, wow. I'm just seeing how this looks like on camera. This looks crazy. Oh my God. It doesn't look this insane in real life. There's just like a big line on my forehead. I'm panicking. I'm panicking. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna figure this out. That's making my forehead look crazy on camera. My cheeks look okay. Oh, it's got like a little bit of a reflecting sheen. This is my trusty powder brush. I'm gonna put my hair down at the end of this, so this is gonna cover up that big stripe on my forehead. That looks crazy. I swear it doesn't look that crazy in real life. I was going pretty heavy-handed and with this. I really tried to blend that out as best I could. So that's interesting. Maybe I didn't like the color. Maybe that's another reason I haven't picked this up a lot. Like, it looks okay in my cheeks, and I bet it's probably would look way nicer in the summertime. That really freaked me out back there, seeing that big stripe on my forehead. And it's still kind of there, but we're gonna have to move along. So that is my bronzer. This is the Tarte Park Avenue Princess bronzer. If you really kind of watch the way it hits the light, it does have a little bit of a gold sheen. And I think I prefer a matte bronzer because I think this is like one of my oldie bronzers that does this. There's an Hourglass bronzer that I have that has a little bit of a sheen, but this one's way stronger in this one. So that might be a reason why I don't pick this bronzer up that much. I know this had a cult following for a while. Like, a lot of people loved this bronzer. Named a bunch of bronzers earlier that all kind of have a cult following in one way or another. And out of the ones, this one is the one that get forgotten about the most. And I think the reason that it was having such a hard time blending out on my face is because I've had it so long. It's probably not as blendable as it once was. So let's move on to blush. And I actually have a bunch of blushes that I've got pulled out over here that I haven't really used that much. I have a Pixie blush, I have some Pacifica blushes, I have an old Cinema Makeup School blush. Out of all the ones that I have, this one's definitely my most forgotten about. This is probably the oldest blush I have and the least used. You can, I don't know if you can see it all, really not touched. But this is a Sephora Collection Colorful. I don't know if this is an older packaging. This is in the shade Flirted Up. Really pretty color. This is definitely one of the first things that I ever bought when I started working at Sephora. Like the first time I worked there. I go back and work there like seasonally every year for the past, I think, 5 years. Oh my God, is this 5 years old? I think so. First year I went there, I bought this blush because the Sephora employees get 40% off on Sephora Collection makeup. So I'm just like, oh sweet, I've heard these blushes are really good. I think I've literally used this like maybe 3 times and not in the last couple years. Like, I haven't touched this blush I think in at least 2 years. So this is definitely the most forgotten about blush in my collection. Let's give her a little bit of life. This is definitely a very colorful, punchy look. I'm leaning into it. It's a pretty color. Now maybe I'll use it some more. I don't know. And it's hard to overdo it, like really rubbing hard. It could be because it's a little bit dried up. And it will definitely blend in once I add like the setting spray. Sephora collection colorful blush in the shade Flirt It Up. To hit my face with the powder brush to really kind of blend everything out between basically every step. Now it's time for highlight, right? What is certainly my most forgotten about highlight. I bought this ColourPop highlight the first time I ever made a ColourPop order. This is the Super Shock Cheek and Lunch Money. It had a cult following at one point, but ever since, I've had this for like I think maybe 3 years at this point. Ever since I put it into this like little bag when I moved to my new apartment, and that was back in April, and I haven't taken it out of that bag, so it hasn't been used in almost a year for sure. It certainly hasn't been used since I've lived here, so the makeup I have going on right now is really matte and really powdery, so I don't know what it's gonna look like to put on a cream highlight on top of it all, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. And it works okay with this look, I think. See, I think it's okay to use still because it's been closed up really tight. On the other hand, at the same time I had this blush from ColourPop. But yeah, as you can see, this one's like, this one I did not close up tightly. And I tried to like kind of rub it down to see if like it'd not be so dry underneath, but this one's kicked. This one I can't use anymore. But this highlighter is still nice and wet and I think totally usable. And it's working with this look, I think. I like the look that I put together with this eyeshadow palette, but it can be absolutely duped. I feel like shadows in my Sugar Pill palette that are way more pigmented than this. And I could do the same exact look with those, so I'm not gonna miss this palette, I don't think. It's good to use it at least once before I get rid of it. So I guess next we'll do lips. So as far as lip products go, there's one thing that's absolutely my most forgotten about thing. This is another thing that I picked up back when I was getting into makeup. This was definitely like before I went to cinema makeup school, like at some point. I bought this back when I was in Florida. I remember when I was living in Florida for like 2 months, 3 months, I had this shipped to me in Florida, and this is the Smashbox 25-year anniversary lip palette. It has gotten some love, but since it is a couple years old, it hasn't been touched 2 years. And this is one of my oldest lip products, certainly my oldest lip palette, and I haven't picked it up. I most forgotten about lip palette. And you might have already seen this in my face palette video if you watched that. But yeah, let's go ahead and use this today on the lips. So what's a color that's gonna go good with this look? Maybe like a peach. Maybe I'll use this guy. That's seems to have never been used. Or maybe a pinky nude type deal. This might be interesting actually, because this is such a pastel kind of springtime look. That's the shade called Sandra. So I'm gonna take this lip brush that has a little bit of a scoop on the back there, and I'm just gonna scoop some out on the back of my hand and from the back of my hand. That's real bright. You know what? We're doing a bright look today. Definitely got some springtime vibes going on. Is it too bright? It's good. It might come together when I put the lashes on, I think. That's my hope. I am serving up some Bratz doll Barbie, like fucking 80s doll toy realness. I don't hate it. My most forgotten about setting spray in my collection was this a while ago. This is the NYX Matte Finish Setting Spray. And if you asked me a month ago what my most forgotten about setting spray would be, I would say this, but I actually noticed that earlier last month, and I've made an effort to kind of try to use this up because it has been in my collection for a good 2 years. And there's nothing wrong with the setting spray, so I might as well just use it up. I think the reason it got forgotten about in my collection is because it's matte. So, you know, I'm a dry person. I actually bought this because of Mariah Leonard. I think her name was. In one of her earlier videos, she said that this was a dupe for Max Fix Plus. I think she meant specifically the dewy one, which I've already used up. I had both. It's just so funny how things have come around so full circle. You know, when I was much younger, I used to only ever do my makeup all matte. Matte lipstick, matte face, matte everything. Everything was matte. And from far away, my skin, I feel like it looks good. But if you really look at that forehead, I just feel like it's all setting it. See how old I look? Like, I look super old. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this because I'm also gonna add my true most forgotten about setting spray next. And I feel like the setting spray absolutely works. There's nothing wrong with this. It's just that it's a little bit drier than I'm looking for. I've been really liking dewy setting sprays lately because it makes my makeup kind of melt together. Anything that I don't really like about what I did. If I'm feeling particularly dry, a dewy setting spray will fix me up a little bit better. But that is not my true most forgotten about setting spray because I have been using that one a little bit lately. I just pulled this guy out yesterday out of my box that I keep under my bed. This is the Pixi Skin Treats Glow Mist. As you can see, it's almost all gone. And I actually really like this product. This got so talked up by Jaclyn. If you ever watch like any Jaclyn videos, you've probably seen her use this stuff. She loves this stuff, and I really like it too. It's really nice. And it is kind of like a dupe for MAC Fix Plus, but it's a little bit oilier. It's got more straight up argan oil in here. And it's really nice. I think the reason it's been forgotten about is because I used to use it constantly and then I noticed that it was getting kind of low, so I kind of put it away and tried to use other things instead. In the mix of all that, I haven't used this since I moved into my new apartment in April. It's been sitting in that box underneath my bed since April, so it's okay to just go ahead and use it up. It smells pretty. I'm hoping that this is like gonna save my parched skin a little bit and gonna give me a little moisture. It looks a little bit dewier now that it's kind of sitting on my skin a little bit. Skin's so dry. It's the driest ever. Now I did the setting spray, so now we're moving on to mascara. This is dangerous territory, guys. Do not try this at home. I usually try to keep no more than 5 mascaras rotating, and that means sample sizes and full sizes. No more than 5 at a time. Somehow this mascara that I got in my Sephora gratis a while back got mixed into my stash of stuff I still haven't tried yet. It was just sitting there since I moved into my new apartment. So I got this in my Sephora gratis, I think at least 1.5 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. So this is a 2-year-old mascara. Do not try this at home, kids. Do not put on a 2-year-old mascara. But I'm gonna do this for science, especially because I'm planning on taking off this makeup basically right after. What time is it? It's 9:41. It's not that bad. But I just checked to see if this mascara was still wet, and it was. So we're gonna put it on our eyes today. This is the Clinique Flutter to Full mascara. It's got like this like lever here where you can like adjust how thickening you want it to be. I'm gonna go full thickness today. I think that might be a gimmick. I don't know how much that makes a difference. I remember this mascara being fine. Oh, actually, I remember really liking the shape of this wand because it's got a little bit of a cone shape. So the closer you get to the center, it's easier to get into the inner corners of your eyes. So I do like it for that. I think the reason that this mascara got forgotten about is interesting because it just kind of got put in a place where it wasn't supposed to be. Most of the products that I mentioned today are forgotten about is because my style in makeup really changed or better products came out. They were just bad. And in the case of my eyeshadow palette, I just had way too much of an influx of other products I'd rather use that I just never got around to using the eyeshadow palette. It looks interesting on my lower lash line, actually. It kind of gives this look a little bit of a twiggy effect. Actually, that gives me an idea. My lashes look nice, but I can tell that this is a little bit thicker than it should be. It's a little bit of a thick formula. It's 2 years old. But I just came up with a cool idea. Bear with me. This is giving me so many ideas. that I'm loving. I might just incorporate this into my 100 days of makeup project that I'm doing on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram if you don't already. I am doing a super fun makeup project on there. I don't like using this gel liner for what I'm trying to do. I think I'm gonna go in and get my actual face paint. That's gonna be more appropriate for what I'm doing right now. So I'm just gonna use my Crivellin Cake face paint. Came out a little better on this side. I'm inspired to do like Twiggy looks. You guys know what I'm going for, right? Like this is like a Twiggy look. You guys know about Twiggy, right? Famous 60s model, paints on lower lashes. Twiggy! I don't know, the colors and the vibes were really kind of giving me like mod vibes. Mod icon, Twiggy. But I can see that my eyeliner is wearing away, which is something that I've noticed about this eyeliner the first time I tried it, is that it wears away before you're done with your makeup. The Twiggies didn't come out as good on this side. Came out a little bit better on that side, but you know, just gonna roll with it. Okay, so we're almost done. So the last thing there's left to do in my makeup routine is to add eyelashes. And I know what my most forgotten about eyelashes are. Last year, I really got into lily lashes and flutter lashes, and that's basically all I wear anymore. But early on in my makeup career, the lashes that I actually learned to put on eyelashes with were Sephora collection. So these are actually the lashes that I learned how to put on eyelashes with. Not audacious, but something like that. The lashes that will work great with this look especially are these lashes called Fierce. I haven't worn these in like a year, even though these are a really interesting style of lashes. They're like, these are the ones called Fierce, they're nice and spiky. These are really stiff lashes, but it makes it kind of easy for them to go on because they keep their shape. Maybe I spoke too soon. This one's having a hard time adhering. These are like, feel crazy when I'm like, I feel like they're the most fluttery. I feel like a Muppet or something. Like a cool Muppet. Alright, well, let me take my hair down. Alright guys, well that is the finished look. This was a very interesting project to do. Like this is due to help you think about your collection and the way that you use it, and it was really interesting for me to do this because it made me realize of all the different ways I have changed doing my makeup. There were a couple of products in here that I really have no problem with or actually really like. The blush is actually really pretty. I do love the Pixie Glow Mist, but it didn't save my skin from feeling so dry. What's interesting about the Kat Von D foundation is that it looks nice on camera. I'm really intrigued by the turn that the look took as I was taking it, that it turned into this, I'm using all this like old makeup and I ended up taking on a 60s vibe with what I put on my face, so that's pretty interesting. But I feel like it looks pretty cool. I like it. Ain't nothing wrong with the brows. I love the look that I did with my eyes, but I realized that it's totally doable. I can still do this same exact look with other eyeshadow palettes I have. Specifically speaking, I think I could do the same exact look with my NYX Ultimate Brights palette. I feel like I could totally dupe. I'm not sad to see that palette go on my Poshmark. As if you are interested in using, buying some pretty cheap, like, used makeup, check out my Poshmark page. I'll leave the link down below. And yeah, I thought this was a pretty fun project. I think it would be really fun to do this, like, as a series. Maybe do this again sometime. Maybe not too often, maybe, but it'd be really interesting way to kind of go through my collection and just consider every one of them the Marie Kondo way and look at it and be like, are you my most forgotten about product? Yes, you are. You are my most forgotten about. Lastly, I think I'd like to make this into a tag. So I tag anybody who saw this that think this would be a fun experiment and would teach them a little bit something about their collection. So if you think that that'd be cool for you, I'd love for you to do this tag and tag me. Let me know that you did it because I'd love to watch your video. I'd like to tag a couple people in particular. I'd like to tag Hannah Louise Poston. I'd love to see her do this. Of course, like basically anybody in that kind of sphere of smaller but not too small creators. Like I'd love to see Nisipisa do this. I'd love to see Georgia Harris do this. I'd love to see Abby Williamson do this. I'd love to see Lacey do this. I'd love to see Jessica Braun do this. Like I feel like she declutters her makeup all the time, but I wonder if she has stuff she has neglected in her collection. I'd like to see what kind of makeup look she would put together with this. I'd love to see Amylynn YouTube. Shout out to Amylynn. Hey girl, I've been watching your videos since the beginning of time. I remember when you were, I think, only 50 subscribers. You like reached out to me. I had a brand new YouTube channel and you like wanted to support me, and I want to support you too. I've been watching your videos this whole time. I'd like to see her do this. Of course, I think it'd be interesting to see a lot of like big YouTubers do this. Like Jaclyn Hill will never do this, but if she did, that'd be really interesting to see her pull out her most forgotten makeup and do a full face with that. I think that'd be really cool. Samantha Ravndahl, I'd love to see do this, of course. She's been taking on like more of a frugal stance in her makeup collection. This is a tag video. I'd love to see what is people's most forgotten about makeup. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I thought this was pretty insightful. Take a look at my collection and go through it and think about it in these terms. Like, what in my collection have I had the longest and used the least? My most forgotten about makeup. Yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks again for joining me. I hope that you consider subscribing. Also, I just want to say hello to all the new people here. So ever since I posted my eyeshadow palette video, I've had a lot of new people join the fam. So hello and welcome. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're watching me for the first time, I hope you subscribe. Thank you for joining me again, and I hope you had fun, and I will see you again soon. Thanks again for watching, guys, and cheers. So dry. So dry. That's what my skin is doing right now. It's just parched.